All right, welcome back to the World's Fair. This is the closing ceremony of week 1 of the World's Fair.
Thanks for joining us. That's been great. See you guys on Monday. No, not that fast.
No, we do have to get this car out in the parking lot and get it back in the customer's hands.
But I'm not down to 150, so we couldn't aim the headlights, so it's not going back today.
Well, we had a small tech that was 120, so I went and got a couple gallons of milk, put those in the seat with her, and we are
not fair.
We are good to go. So earlier in the first part of the week, we blueprinted this car. Yesterday, we painted our bumper cover. We've got it all reassembled. We've gone through our departmental checklist as this vehicle goes through the process in the shop. And now we're down to that final delivery checklist. So this is where Larry and I differ, like a million other things, right? So Larry
I'm right, you're wrong, but okay, keep going. It's your show.
Larry has the final done in the detail department. So with the final detail, the detailer goes through this final checklist. And while I can see the value in that, I also believe, for me personally, I want the estimator that has assigned this repair, that has been dealing with the customer. This is what I want them to do.
Okay, so for those who don't listen to what I say, like you, I have the detailer do it first. I'm training somebody, and then the estimator does go over it afterwards.
Well, I would hope
so
that
there's like
most
a double
of these
estimator after he's done, really, in most cases.
Well,
so
for
it's
me,
kind of,
for me, for the estimator, I've got to own that customer service experience. I've got to deliver the car. I've got to set up reconnect their phone. I'm going to be around that car a lot, so I really want to make sure that I'm very astute and well versed on this final inspection sheet. Now,
oh man, Siri, what does astute mean?
All right, so I will tell you this: in process QC, implement this final checklist. You probably won't have any redo comebacks.
No, you probably won't have many issues because we've tried to capture from our shop visits and even consulting issues we've seen, and we just add to the list, change the list, add to the list, take off the list until the shop learns it. It just becomes an easier process. The final checklist is not it's just all the stuff you normally forget everywhere and stuff you need to check. So.
And these are the things that'll drive a customer crazy, and not necessarily immediately after pickup. These are sometimes things they don't notice till a couple of days later, or when someone. I've never seen anybody come pick up a car and bring 20 people with them. They usually come pick it up alone. They drive home alone in the driver's seat, and then a couple of days later, that's when we discover, hey,
number one is washer fluid. Oh. You fix the back of my car, you put a tailgate and a bumper cover on the car, and let's say there's no wiper back there. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe, I'm very unhappy. Oh, what's the matter, miss? My washer fluid doesn't work anymore. It's broken. But could you bring the car by, and you bring it by, and then they feel embarrassed. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to fill that? You put gas in your car, don't you? You feel like saying to them, but no, it probably ran low. You probably didn't realize it. It's not something we would normally check on doing a rear hit, but hey, guess what? Let me put this down. What does it cost when we put some washer fluid in there not to get them back?
Yeah, we're going to check that on every car. So let's go through this list real quick. So the vehicle has left final detail delivery, test drive, all that has been done. It's back around. I'm going to give it a look over before it goes. It's also going to get its sanitation treatment because of our new COVID.
I just can't go. Okay, all good.
I'm going to run the tri-oxyclean through before we do. But I've got it back into kind of my same inspection stall. I want to be able to get up and look around. It's real hard for me to check for things like sight shields when the car's on the ground unless I'm going to go get a creeper. So I want to get this on an inspection bench. There's probably 1,000 different little inspection scissor lifts on the market. All right, some of them even move around the shop. But you definitely want to do your final inspection somewhere where you can get up, around, and under the vehicle to be able to do this correctly. So,
and make sure you have the right height. Don't have the hood open, and you put it up in the air, and you're in one of these lower, shops. And there's always, like, if you're in a small shop, especially when people laugh, and if you're in a smaller roofed shop and they have the lift, and you have the hood open, and there's always like a half moon or semicircle mark from the hood being open when they crushed it. Yeah. It's like, no, and it's always on the last day.
All right, so let's run through this list real quick. Well, first of all, you can tell that a Yankee made this one because front license plate is on there. And,
okay, listen, just because you guys down Arkansas.
Used guys?
Couldn't figure out that you need 2 plates in the car many times, and that you have no bridges in the entire state, and you don't have toll roads anywhere, because you're in the middle of where Deliverance was made.
This is where you're looking at buying a house.
Yeah, but that's besides, because I don't like neighbors.
So front license, if you are in a state that has front license, then you'll want to make sure it was there.
That's a huge thing that comes up when they do front license plate, when they do a front bumper. They forget the front license plate.
Right.
To put it back on. It's like you live in a state with, it's like, funny enough, you didn't come from Arkansas and move to New York now and doesn't realize, oh no, we don't have that in our state. You live here in New York.
Right.
There's 2 plates on everything.
Couple of sidebar things that I always have here. If the customer comes in with a, I don't want to say a vanity plate, like for just license plate, but some sort of license bracket, or they have a custom license plate like their favorite baseball or football team or something that they've put on the front end of the car, I make a note of that in the file, and I handwrite it on this check sheet that goes in the RO immediately, because I want to make sure we don't lose it. So
we've had customers complain because we switched dealerships on them.
Yeah.
We've, theirs was broken in an accident, so my guys just walk over and take it from, let's say, Mercedes-Benz or Rockville Center, and they go put it on. It's like, oh, I bought this at, Manhasset Mercedes-Benz, and blah, blah, blah. And then the front and rear plates don't match.
Right,
That's another thing.
So even though you may not have front license in your state, you can modify this again. This is an Excel spreadsheet that this is created in, so you can definitely modify your final checklist. Check the underside of the front bumper. Make sure everything's clean. Check the headlamps are operational.
The biggest thing with that is, what I mean by underside is, if you sanded and painted the bumper, or if you painted the bumper and you sanded and buffed it, what happens usually is you'll get that white sludge, and no one bent down there to look. And then the second the customer goes to a friend's shop to do an oil change, they look, oh wow, or they're at one of those speedy oil change places. Oh, what's this? Oh, your car was in an accident? Don't give the mechanic something to go, oh, wow, I can't believe your car was in an accident.
Let me find some other things to look for.
Yeah, let me find some other stuff and point out.
We're going to want to make sure that the headlamps are operational and that the headlamps have been aimed. Now, for this particular repair, because of the way we did it, we had headlamp aiming on the estimate. It's been checked off by the body technician that had to go through the aiming when we were doing our final calibrations. But you're going to want to just double check that as the estimator. I'm going to click the highs, I'm going to click the lows, I'm going to hit all the turn signals, I'm going to hit the fog lamps. I'm going to make sure that everything is working on the vehicle. If I put it in reverse, the backup lights come on, the hazards come on, everything is
Especially if this is a regular bulb type vehicle, it's not LED.
Well,
so
I think there was a post online the other day I saw where some people had fixed a car and they're having, was it taillight problems?
I think something like that, yeah.
Hey, what's the code or whatever. So I'm going to go through all of those lights and make sure that all of that is operational before I give the vehicle back. We're going to make sure that any of our parking sensors are operational. So I'm gonna have to get, when we talked earlier, I said I was going to get the cardboard box and the suspenders and whatever. There's maybe a time for me to bring that out, or maybe a time for me to spend some time in the parking lot.
Well, that might be a smarter way than blindfolding yourself and just letting the car roll into a wall and say, oh, the car will stop automatically.
Let's check and see if that works.
Let's see if that works.
I'm going to make sure the parking sensors are working, hazard lamps as we talked about. I'm going to make sure all of my interior lights are working, the domes, anything that's on the floor. Again, when the customer comes back, even though we just put a bumper on this car, I want to make sure everything's operational, because if I give them any reason to doubt me or mistrust me, the list just starts to pile and pile and pile and pile. I'm going to make sure that the hood latch and everything is lubricated, that it's all well and good. I'm going to make sure that everything is latched good and tight. We did have the hood up as we were working around in the car, so we're going to make sure that we have that good. I'm going to double check and verify everything's tight, right? So when I walk around the car as an estimator and I'm looking and I know that we replaced some moldings, we replaced the bumper cover, I just want to make sure it's tight. Now everybody thinks I look a little dumb out in the parking lot, like trying to shake every part.
No, that's not the reason. Believe me.
Trying to shake every part on the car. But we've all had something come back that was barely bolted in or wasn't bolted in at all.
How many times you open a hood and you see like all 3 fender bolts at the top are loose at different heights? Right. They're finger tight, this one's just barely in there, or they're missing.
Right, I want to make sure everything is good. So we've got a new lower valance on this. We put the grill in. Anything that we would have removed, I'm going to make sure is nice and tight before it goes out. I'm going to pay special attention to any registration or inspection stickers that are required. So if we didn't get into the glass, that may not be an issue.
Parking stickers sometimes too are on bumpers, like certain neighborhoods in certain states you have to have a parking sticker, either in the front or the rear of the bumper. If you took that off, you don't want to put it on the brand new one right away. Say, hey, look, why don't you leave this in your windshield, cut a little piece out of it and stuff like that and put that on.
Yeah, sometimes I have to add that to my estimate. I have to order replacement stickers from from club memberships, the yacht club, for their apartments or their neighborhoods.
Sometimes golf courses will require it too.
Schools.
So especially schools.
Maybe something that I've had to order really early on in the estimating process. I'm going to make sure that all doors are operational. Do they open? Do they close?
Especially grease the back doors, because if it's a single person or just a couple and they don't really have kids and they don't have a lot of people in the car, the back doors and even the back windows may stick and not operate because it hasn't been used. You know, and that'll happen. So you might want to put a little extra grease on the hinges or anything like that.
I'm going to make sure that I have checked for all of my labels. So if I worked around any labels, doors, core support, underside of hood, anywhere that a label needed to be, I'm going to make sure that they're all there, all is well, all is in good shape. I'm going to walk around and make sure my guys didn't mess with anything. I'm also going to make sure, hopefully in my QC process, my guys didn't leave any labels, right? We can charge to remove labels from new parts. I don't want to have like a sticker contest, but especially on like reinforcements and some things that we left all those on there. If I had any stone guard, any mud flaps, any of those things, I want to make sure that they're on there and installed. That helps also sometimes that I've documented that in my pictures. This vehicle
Rocker moldings, if you put it on the bench or anything, which in this case this car didn't, although someone tried to catch us the other day with that. It's like, oh, what about the rocker moldings? How about this? They don't have them. Okay, it's the door molding goes down and the fender molding is part of it. So, you know, learn your car before you question. But yes, you'll get the rocker moldings. A lot of times people will take off because they had to put it on top of the bench for maybe a quick pull or install something. In this case, no, it's just a bumper cover, but we did measure and do some other stuff.
I'm going to make sure that my deck lid, or my trunk is operational. Key fob, if I hit it, does it open? If I lower it back down, does it automatically catch and go?
Remember disconnecting the battery. We had an issue with that setting on this particular vehicle.
I may have had to do some recalibration. So calibration's not always ADAS. It could be something that I had to calibrate there. If the customer had a feature turned on where they could do, you know, kind of like I had a Lincoln before I got my new one. I always get a new one every time you're coming to town. But you know, I could do the foot thing and open that, and that was something I had to set up. So I want to make sure that that's reset for the customer and working when they come and get it. If there's our license plates again. Underside of the rear bumper, everything's clean and nice. I'm going to open all those door jambs. I'm going to look around, make sure everything's clean and nice. Now I got to get underneath it, which is why I am too old to crawl around on the ground under a car. So that's why this one is in here, so I can raise it up. I want to make sure that all underside and shields are installed. Now, every shop tells me that they do this and they don't have a problem, but I'll go in every shop and find shields like up on shelves behind where the body men are.
They're extra. Because they get damaged in so many accidents, and you have to buy them in pairs, which doesn't happen. They act like it's motorcycle parts, because with motorcycle parts, you have to buy everything in pairs. So you know, you buy a left side, you have to buy a right side. It comes in the package. So what do? I got an extra piece.
Yeah.
So you might change it and save the old one or whatever the case is. But shields don't come in pairs. Shields don't really get damaged in accidents unless you go off-road. And we don't do a lot of off-road stuff, so where are all these shields coming from?
Yeah, so what it tells me is that when the technician reassembled the car, they probably didn't have a good tear-down cart system and whatever, and they got left there and they kind of walked in their stall a week later and went, what'd those go to? I don't remember what those went to. So they've got to get in there and check them out. Let me go get this reinstalled.
Okay, so Larry's going to stand here right now. We had a little issue with the computer bouncing off right now, so this is the problem with live sometimes. While you're working on this list, the idea behind the whole idea of the list is so you don't forget things, and you know, and this comes for every car. It's not vehicle specific, but I do have a couple that I use vehicle specific stuff for ADAS systems.
Yeah.
And that's a separate test drive list that I came up with, because sometimes you need 2 techs to be in there. So that might add to some of these things that we see on the right-hand side of the list that we're going to go down.
So now I'm going to get on the inside of the car. I've been up underneath it. I've verified that everything is reinstalled. It is where it should be. Nothing's missing. Everything looks right. I'm happy with it as the estimator. Now it's time to get inside the car. I'm going to get inside the car. I'm going to turn the key, right? We're going to start the sucker up. I'm checking for, I shouldn't have any indicator lamps, right? Because I've scanned and cleared and we are good to go. I want to make sure that the SRS system does its cycle. I got a light, comes on and goes off. It tells me that it's checking the system. I want to make sure that the passenger airbag goes off in this vehicle.
Off, on, or whatever it's supposed to do, such as if I sat in that seat, I know for a fact that the airbag's supposed to come on. It's supposed to be live, or, you know, disable should go off. Something has to happen. If it doesn't, I'm like, ooh, boy, I got a problem. You know, so you do want to check that.
Right. I want to turn it on. I want to let it idle. I want to make sure that I don't get a temp or an alternator lamp. I want to make sure that everything is cycling the way that it should be completely. I want to check washer fluid. So now I'm going to get under the hood a little bit, right? I want to make sure the fluids are where they need to be, that we have the right washer fluid, that if there's brake fluid or anything, I want to check the oil levels. I want to make sure that this thing is topped off and where it needs to be to roll out my door. Because remember, if I'm the last professional that touches it, I'm probably the last one that they're going to, I don't want to say hold liable.
But could be held liable. Yeah.
Right, could be. But I don't want to get blamed, so to speak. I am going to now unlock my radio and redo all my presets.
And that's why we first write down the radio code and all the radio presets, so we can do this at this particular point in time. You know, it's another nuisance. Nothing worse than a customer going, oh, my radio doesn't work in the shop. And I've heard this happen. Oh, well, you just got to put your radio code in there. It's probably in your owner's manual. Now you're putting it back on the customer. Yeah, it's not the smartest thing to do.
So the reason that I like having my estimator really get involved in this is because, as we talked about, my customer's going to come. I'm going to ask them about how they had it connected to the radio, make sure they bring the phone that they want to have primary connected, because a lot of people got this done at the dealership and they weren't paying attention. They were just super excited that they had bought a new car. This is my chance to do the research and what I need to do to find that radio code, to learn how to add it, what I need, to learn how to add the preset radio stations so that I can take the customer through this. When I set up their phone, the one they bring with them, well, if there's a secondary person in the household, then they're going to have to set up that phone when they get home. So this is my chance.
So sometimes you show them how to do it.
This is my chance to teach them how to do it. I'm going to check and make sure if it was equipped with a spare tire, that spare tire and jack and everything that is there. If it is not equipped with a spare tire, upon delivery, I like to have a conversation with the customer, right? I like to tell them and remind them that there is no spare tire back there. Not every vehicle is installed with one. If you want to do some marketing within your shop, there is some great universal spares and some kits and things that you can have there. And you'll be surprised at how many customers don't know they don't have a spare these days. Even though there's a place for it.
Most of the European cars do not come with spares.
Yeah, that makes it. I remember my first post-repair inspection I was doing. It was a Hyundai. It was a long time ago, and I opened it up and started tearing out. And I was like, "Hey, put the spare back in." And then I did my research, because you never just call and go, "You didn't put the spare back in." Did my research and went, "Oh, it doesn't come with a spare." Oh, well, it's got a nice place for it, but they just don't put it in there. So it's a chance for you to make sure that you tell them that. Check the tire pressure, make sure that they are good to go. You will have completed the test drive. So you would have had the test drive if you would have had to do any active calibrations, or you had to get certain mileage and hold it for so many times. Then
or even the navigation, just drive in a circle a few times till it pops up.
Yeah, there was one person that posted the other day they couldn't get a Jeep Compass to work, and I was like, wait till you look up that procedure. You're going to look like a real weirdo in the Walmart parking lot doing a star pattern in reverse.
Yeah, what you do is you do 70 miles per hour, you lock one wheel in the back, and you just... No, that's not how you do it.
While we're down there checking that tire pressure, we're gonna torque and kind of tug on all those lug nuts and make sure that all the wheels are on there straight and tight. I guess if the wheels were on, it'd be weird.
Yeah, well, you want to make sure. Well, they could be loose. I mean, you know, you never know. Somebody hand tightened them. You want to, after the test, before you go on, you should do an engine run-up start test. Start the car, let it run. Maybe quickly check the lugs, make sure someone did time. You don't want it coming off on you. And then you go for a test drive for the amount of time or whatever the case is. When you get back, recheck the torque. That's all.
Yeah.
You
all
know.
right. So then, if I had any stripes or decals or anything that I needed to reinstall, some people love their Salt Life stickers. I can order those off Amazon and install them for them before they pick the car back up, or whatever the Go local high school, whatever they had in there. We're going to get that reinstalled for them. We got our power seats. I'm going to make sure every seat in the vehicle is operational, even the ones that are not powered. I'm going to slide them forward, slide them back. I'm going to hit recline.
Especially on a rear collision hit. You want to double check that, make sure it's like, oh, did they forget this? Did they do that? Not do this? That's part of the initial inspection. You're supposed to check the seats, but hey, let's just double check.
Hey, I don't want a customer to, I hand them the keys, they sit down in that seat and they go to try to put it in their position and it doesn't move. And then it's kind of like that one that I got the call on that the shop just forgot the whole seat completely. So
I still don't get that. How do you forget a whole seat? There's an orange Home Depot pail sitting with a black leather seat's supposed to be. It's
no,
like,
it was one of those 5-gallon thinner cans.
oh, okay, that's even better.
Yeah, that's the one that made me go.
They're really uncomfortable.
Right, you get that little handle. It's not pretty. So I digress. All right, so I'm going to make sure the seats are operational and slide and motor. Now, keep in mind, if the customer had a memory seat system, I may have to go through that with them when they arrive. So I need to know how it works to install the seats. I know the BMW geniuses or whatever they call them. When BMW delivers a car to a customer, I mean, they walk them out there and they set them in there and they let them get all nice. Okay, is that where you want it? That's good. Yeah. I mean, they do everything for you. So these customers coming back aren't going to know how to reset those memories, and that's what we're here for, and that's the service we offer. We're going to make sure that the heat is working. We're going to make sure that the air is working, and it doesn't matter what time of the year it is. So what I don't want to have happen is I deliver a car now and it's in winter and everybody's got the heat, starts to get spring, gets a little hot, they hit that air and it's not working, and I'm the first place that they're going to come back to.
It's a closed system. It's not supposed to leak, and it's not supposed to be filled up every year.
I'm going to check. We talked about checking the washer fluid, but that's all good. I'm going to make sure that the wipers are working. They're halfway away from my shop. It starts to rain. They hit the button. Nothing happens.
If it's streaking and stuff like that, sometimes customer service.
It's not too expensive for that. Make sure all the windows are clean, the mirrors are clean, and they are ready to go. I'm going to double check everywhere that I think any masking tape could be. I'll find cars that I re-inspect sometimes 4 to 6 months after the repair. And especially like right in here, I can look in here and find
tape on the bottom.
Paper.
Another big thing is people have tinted windows. I'm not talking about the SUVs that come with the back windows usually tinted already. I'm talking where the car doesn't have tinted windows and they tinted it, or you had to replace the glass and you walk by and you go, oh, wait a second. Yeah. Oh, man, what happened to the tint guy? Oh, he called, he had to reschedule till Monday. Yeah, but today's Friday and you already called to have the customer pick the car up.
Right.
That's not good.
I'm going to make sure all body side moldings are installed, all our door handles. What I really hate is when I see a tech reinstall door handle and that little gasket. You know, those things fray and decay fairly easy, and the gasket's kind of half hanging out, and they're like, okay, no problem.
Right.
Right. The customer walks up to it, so I'm going to check for all of that. Now that I'm back on the interior of the car, when I'm sitting in that driver's seat, I want to look and see what the driver sees, right? So I'm going to look up, I'm going to check, especially if we've taken any interior trim pieces out. I'm going to make sure that my tech, in the process of moving the car around the shop, didn't like do the put the keys in the visor thing, and he reaches up on a light and visor, and I got suddenly muddy, dirty, greasy, handprints on the visor or on the headliner when we were reinstalling it. If we did take out any interior trim pieces, I'm going to inspect those. Those plastic are prone to tool marks.
Yep.
Even though some of them are non-reusable, I want to make sure they're not scratched. They don't look gouged where the clips
Make
were.
sure the headline is in. We had a call one time where the headliner wasn't in. They took it out. They wrapped it. They did a nice job. They put it up on the side on one of the stands, and they had a outside glass company come in and put the back glass back in. And where's the head? Oh crap! Let's get it in now. How? It's got to go. It tells you in the repair manual. You got to cut the back glass. That's why you
can't
cut
fold it like a taco.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. You could fold it without a problem and get it back in. Problem is, it usually doesn't look good once you fold it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that testing of the airbag. You deploy it. It's like, oh, good, it worked. It's not reusable.
Right. I can't repackage it. It's not a shoot.
It's like Daffy Duck. I could do this trick once.
Right. But I definitely want you to look at all that stuff and make sure that it's good to go. Our detailers are really focused when they get in the car on the dashes, on the door trim panels, things where they can see dust. And I can't tell you how many times I've had a customer kind of roll back because of the greasy prints up here or somewhere, because I can bag the steering wheel and I can cover the seat, but there's just some things in the car that I can't cover. I'm going to verify now that I have the final scan showing clear. If I had any other printouts, if I had a pre-measure an in-process repair and a post measure for any structural damage that I have all of those, any alignment reports, anything that I have copies of. I'm going to make copies of that, and those are going to go with the customer. So in addition to my copy of my estimate, I want to give them those validating documents
Right.
of here is your alignment, here is your frame, here is your scan. That way they have it all. And then we're ready to pull off all of our QCs, deliver the car. Pretty simple.
Yep.
For about, what is that, about 60-point inspection almost?
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless Avery doesn't have the money to pay for this fine job, and I'll just put a lien on it, and, you know, I'll be auctioning this off on Monday, so everyone be ready for that if he didn't pay the $10,000 cash for this repair job, because he didn't go through insurance.
That's the next video Monday is the collection process.
Yes.
So,
Avery's over there waving a dollar bill at me. I guess he's going on an easy payment plan at 400% interest rate.
well, you want to make sure that you have a final detail and delivery SOP for your shop. And they're not real hard to come up with. So most people will write in and say, how do I do an SOP? And I go, well, what do you want to have happen? What's your dream experience for the customer? What things have gone wrong before? If I sit down and make a list of the things that a customer's had to bring a car back for, or a problem.
We never have that. We've never had that problem.
I never have comebacks. My customers all love me.
My customers come back.
I have comebacks. Everybody has a comeback. Just when you think you've made a complete list, half the stuff on this list is because it was, crap. Okay.
Well, you just keep moving the shop and changing the name. It's like, I got no comebacks.
Right.
I got no repeat customers either, but I got no comebacks.
Well, I do have this under new ownership sign that I put out about every 6 months, right? So that works out really well. But that's all this is just making a list of those final things. I personally, like I said, I want my estimator doing it because I want them to own that customer experience. If you decide to have your final detail, do this as a final check off of their other QC, and then have your estimator come out there and work with them, that's great. Larry, you talked about how your guy gets, for every 5 of these that are right, he gets a free lunch. So that's basically buying the guy lunch once a week.
Yeah, it comes in handy.
which works out really well. And then, do you find that even after you've trained a guy, you still every now and then find something that was missed?
Yeah, not as much stuff, and then I'll have a talk with them, and then, you know, it's don't let me find this again, that you did the same thing over again. Or he'll find something wrong, which is a bigger problem, because how to get to this point that there's a problem and no one checked the list before, so this detailer or myself will wind up finding an issue and going, oh, hang on a second, let's go, shop meeting time. How did this happen? Explain this to me.
Yeah.
How did this get from that department all the way to here, and this is like this?
Right.
And this guy's got to find it.
Everybody has a bad day at whatever level you are in the shop. And so QC is a constant process that is never over. And you never reach the end of the training, so you're learning all the time, and you are re-inspecting each other every time, because if Larry has a bad day and misses something, then hopefully I'm not having a bad day on the same day, because the customer doesn't deserve to suffer for our bad day. And if we don't do this right, well, that's what happens. Most customers will not return to you for you to correct smallish items that are inconveniences. They will
YouTube it.
They'll just go on and maybe tell 20, 30 people that you did an okay job.
Right.
Right. Or they'll tell the people about how they picked their car up and the seatbelt didn't work, or it was full of dirt, or whatever it was. But just because people aren't necessarily coming back to your door in droves doesn't mean you don't have a problem, but you may not have a problem. But you definitely want to start addressing this. There's so many things that just QC alone fixes.
I agree.
All right. That is a wrap on week 1 of the World Fair. Now, we are back next week with another jam-packed experience. We're going to be kicking it off Monday, and I'm very excited about having this show. You're back. We're going to be doing some post-repair inspection training. We're going to be kind of an overview. Please don't think that by watching this show you'll get everything you need to know about post-repair inspections.
Why? But it's free. It's supposed to give everything away for free.
Yeah. Well, we do want to cover a little bit of that process and let you see some of it. We do have a car coming in that we are going to do a post-repair inspection on throughout the week. We've got paintless dent repair, and I am super excited about this one. We're going to talk about how PDR has changed. So not just like whether you're glue pulling or pushing or what you're using, but how electronics and scanning and calibrations have affected the paintless dent repair. Jake and Aztec's going to jump in on that one early with us on Monday, and we're going to have the National Association of Paintless Dent Repair and Jake and kind of combine, and we're going to be working on a truck that's got some hail damage in. and talking about, because of what we did for PDR, whether it's some doors and some roofs, what we have to think about there.
Right.
The Jake will also take us through Nissan's new secure gateways on their newer cars and some considerations. B-Tag's going to be here doing a metal dent repair. So for those people that say that we don't know how to fix anything, we just change parts, B-Tag's going to try to come teach us how to fix dents.
Maybe you. I'm just going to change it.
Yeah. So, it's
while you're screwing around with that machine, I'll have a brand new panel on the car and I'll be in the paint booth. But that's okay.
Right. Well, I'm going to make it work. It's going to be awesome. So, and then Cam Otto will come in at the end of the week and also teach glue pulling for collision repair. So the last time he was here, we lifted a car with glue tabs.
Yeah, because that's the reason it's made.
I don't know what we're going to do this time, but I do promise that it will be
We do a tug of war.
lot of fun. So we will see you next week for the continuation.